Hey students, today we're talking about ratio and table. So we're going to go over it, and the reason I'm doing this is so that you can pause it whenever you need to, or if you're already getting it, you can fast forward through whatever you need to do. All right, so let's begin. So ratio and tables, we are saying that ratio and rate relationships, which you need to know about, can be expressed in many ways. So they are an A to B relationship, so that's the ratio. So let's say you have a table, and on one side is A and one side is B. That's how you can write down the ratio relationships between them. So A can be anything, in word problems they come out as different things. So A can be anything. The table may also be written like this, A to B. And so you know that the relationship is going to be A to B ratio, whatever that is, whatever the A happens to be and whatever the B happens to be, it would be that thing. So let's say, for example, this A happens to be a 1 and the B happens to be a 3. So you have a ratio of 1 to 3, okay? So what I've told you in class is whatever happens to one side happens to the other. And that's how we maintain the equivalent ratio, okay? So let's say we multiply both sides times 2. So 1 times 2 and 3 times 2. So I would say 1 times 2 is 2, 3 times 2 is 6. So they are equivalent ratios. 1 to 3 is equivalent to 3/6. And you can keep going that way, okay? You can keep going that way, and now times 3. Now I'm going to do both sides times 3. So 1 times 3 is 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. And so we keep filling it out that way. So we can go 1 times 4 and 3 times 4. 1 times 4 is 4, and 3 times 4 is 12. So far we have 1 to 3, 3 to 6, 2 to 6, sorry. This should have been 2 to 6, 3 to 9, 4 to 12. Those are all equivalent. So you can keep going that way and making more equivalent fractions. Like I told you in class, you could have a situation where a question asks you about the ratio equivalency or equal ratio to 1 to 3, and they give you a whole bunch of choices and the multiple choices. But one thing you can do right away is just go ahead and solve for all the equivalent ratios for that. So this is how I showed you in class, one of the ways that you can do. So times 2, and so you go times 2, and then you write the equivalent ratio there, and then you go times 3, okay, and you would write the equivalent ratio there. So so let's do times 2. 1, 2 times 2 is 2, 3 times 2 is 6, 1 times 3 is 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. So the same equivalent ratios that you had before, that I showed you before, but now I'm showing you here. So you see them right there. And you can continue doing that. And so now you have a list of ratios, and you can compare them to the answer choices that you have if you're doing a problem like that one. So let's look at this example. Let's say you're giving a table like this, and the ratio is 5 to 6, right? And you have to find the missing ratios. So if you have a 5 to 6 ratio, then you have to find the relationship, okay? Now that there's 10 of, let's call this A and let's call this B. A and B could be anything, socks to feet or whatever. Okay, so 5 to 10, what happened to my 5 to become a 10? Well, you could say, oh, I multiply times 2. Well, guess what? You multiply times 2 there too. And then from the 5 to the next one, I don't have anything there, but I do have something below. So I know 6 to 18. What happened to my 6 to become an 18? Oh, you say times 3. Okay, so that means that I have to do times 3 to that one too. So 6 times 3 is 18, and 5 times 3 is 15. So you have that relationship. And then you go to the next one. Oh, and this is 12. 6 times 2 is 12. And then you go to the next one, and you see that you've been given 25, but not what's underneath. So from 5 to 25, what happens? Oh, you say times 5. Okay, so that means the one right below it, you got to do the same thing. 6 times 5 is 30. Okay, then on the next one, you see that they only give you the 66. So from 6 to 66, what did I do to become a 66? Oh, you say times 11. 6 times 11 is 66. Okay, so I have to do times 11 up here. 6 times 11 is going to give me 55. So that's how I solve that. Okay, so let's work on this. Imagine that there's a question that says the ratio is 3 to 7, and then they give you a table with a whole bunch of numbers and missing areas, and you have to figure it out. Okay, so the best thing that you can do for that is just scale up the ratio, scale it up, and then you'll find the numbers in there. You don't even have to look at the table, just scale it up, do the work, and then after that, you will see that those numbers fit into the table. So let's look what I'm talking about. So the ratio is 3 to 7. So all I have to do is take, let's see, 3 to 7 and keep scaling it up. I'm going to scale it by 2 times 2 on both sides. 3 times 2 is 6. 7 times 2 is 14. We know the equivalency is 6 to 14, and I keep scaling it up. Okay? Times 3, 3 times 3 is 9. 7 times 3 is 21, and I keep scaling it up. Okay? I keep doing that. Real easy, times 4. Now I'm going to do times 4. 3 times 4 is 12, and 7 times 4 is 28, and I can do times 5. Times 5. So times 5. 3 times 5 is 15. 7 times 5 is 35. And I could keep going that way, but now I have a whole bunch of equivalent ratios. I have 3 to 7, 6 to 14, 9 to 21, 12 to 28, and 15 to 35. Okay? And then on my table, I may have some missing, numbers. Whatever it is on the table that they're showing me, I'm going to have something like, okay, what is 21? And then one is going to have 6, and another one's going to have 12, and the other one's going to have 35. Well, real easily, now that you've done the work, you can go back and see the equivalent ratios that are there. And you don't have to do anything else. You can match them up. So a good idea always is to scale up when you need to, when there's an equivalent ratio table that is asking something about what goes in the blanks. Okay? Hope that helps. Okay, so here's another kind of situation. Sam reads 3 books per month, which table shows correctly the total books after 3, 4, or 5 months? So you can have a table like this when they give you choices, and they'll tell you, they'll ask you which one shows correctly how many books she or he would have read after 3, 4, or 5 months. Again, what is best to do is write it out, okay? Write it out correctly. It's best to show your work. So if I were to write it out correctly, I just go, okay, so I know that Sam is reading 1 book. Sam is reading after 1 month, Sam is reading 1 book. So the ratio is 1 to 3, okay? Because it says Sam reads 3 books per month. So the ratio is 1 month equals 3 books. For every 1 month, there are 3 books read. So I just start scaling up. Times 2, what would it look like times 2 months? 1 times 2 is 2, 3 times 2 is 6, and then I go times 3. After 3 months, what would it look like? 1 times 3 is 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. 3 to 9, and then I go times 4. Same thing. Times 4. 1 times 4 is 4. 3 times 4 is 12. And I keep scaling up. Times 5. Times 5. 1 times 5 is 5. 3 times 5 is 15. So look at there. I have the breakdown for every month, you guys. So I have 1 to 3, 2 to 6. In 2 months, she's going to read, or he's going to read 6 books. In 3 months, he's going to read, or she's going to read 9 books. 4 months, 12 books, and 5 months, 15 books. Now I can easily compare it to the data, the tables that we have. So this one says after 3 months, they're reading 9 books. That's correct. After 4 months, 12 books. After 5 months, 20 books. Nope. And then I look at the next one. After 3 months, 9 books. Correct. After 4 months, 12 books. Correct. After 5 months, 15 books. Correct. And then that one looks correct. So that one looks correct, but I'm going to check the other one. After 3 months is 6 books? No. After 4 months is 9 books? No. After 5 months is 12 books? No. So my answer is this one. Okay? So that's how I get those. That's how I get those answers. Students, I hope this has helped you. I wanted to put this video together to help you do this. So let me know if you have any questions. Okay? Thank you.